Good morning. It is Tuesday, March 12th at 11 a.m. and I've awakened after a 5 Benadryl-pilled, jet-lagged sleep. I'm feeling pretty good, and it is 5 a.m. local time, so my body will be waking up in a half hour either way. So this morning it is archetypical Irish weather, overcast, very misty, a little bit raining. It rained hard last night, which is really cool. I enjoyed listening to the hard rain and wind. So this morning in this mist, I'm going to drive on the left back into Belfast and find a grocery store, eat a little, and then do this 3-hour walking tour, which I'm really excited about. It's going to be a tour of all the murals in Belfast that represent the two sides of the Troubles conflict. So here we go, driving back into Belfast. When I get into those traffic circles, when you're driving on the left, you got to remember clockwise. Survived another driving on the left experience. Made it down to the city shopping center where my tour will begin. Parking on the 5th floor of a parking garage here, so I got a little overview of the city. Pretty fun.
I work for a group called COSHA, which is a committee for former political prisoners like myself. I spent 14 years in prison and was released in 1997. I'll just explain to the rest of the group. During the course of the tour, feel free to ask any questions, okay? There's no question, there's no limit. We've lived our whole lives here through censorship. So these tours, my tour anyway, certainly isn't censored. So if you look on your world map and you see Britain, Ireland, we're the next door neighbour. We're the wee island sitting right beside Britain. So in Britain's eyes, we were ripe for a thing called colonisation. So Britain colonised us. So in fact, we were their first colony. So everything they perfected here, they transferred to the rest of the world. They carried it to the rest of their colonies. And if you think, what is colonisation? What does that mean? It's a word, but what does it mean? It means you lose your land, you lose your property, you lose your language, you lose your sport. Don't lose it. It's taken from you, okay? You lose your sport, you lose your music, you lose your history, you lose your identity, you lose your culture. 1921. So in 1921, our country, having been already colonised by Britain, was now partitioned. So Britain decided to partition our country as well. So they were no longer isolated. They could see through the medium of TV what was happening in places like America, civil rights. In places like Paris, students were rising up. So our students here thought, we want some of that. So in 1968, what civil rights did we not have? The system used by the government here was called gerrymandering. And the way it was deployed here was, if you didn't own a house, you didn't have a vote. So if you're a Catholic, you couldn't get a job, you couldn't afford a house, you didn't have a vote. If you're a Protestant, and you're maybe quite wealthy and you own 2 houses, you had 2 votes. So this is how blatantly corrupt this state was from its formation. So students, of course, took the streets. Some of the photographs I showed you demanding equality, jobs, houses. The police, of course, the police here regarded themselves as a Protestant police for a Protestant state. So they responded to students' marches, not with debate, discussion, dialogue. They responded with batons. They physically beat the students off the streets. They lay in wait and ambushed the students off the streets and forced them off the streets. Then, August the 15th, 1969 is the date, a very, very important date. It's where our tour really begins, okay? So, the first person shot dead, ironically, was a British soldier. And I say ironic because he lived here. He was off duty. He'd been home in compassionate leave to visit his sick parent. And when he came out of his flat to find out what the whole commotion was about, he became the very first person to be shot dead. As quickly transpired, the British weren't here to protect beleaguered Catholics. They were here to protect their Protestant state. So the British government then, they introduced a thing called, through special powers, police parts here, they introduced a thing called internment. And what internment means is, this is the powers they had. The Justice Minister in South Africa said he would give up all of the apartheid laws just to have clause 14. Because clause 14 is like a catch-all. Basically, you can do anything you want. So internment means you're brought to prison. From your house to prison. From the streets to prison. In between your house and prison, there's nothing. There's no court, no judge, no jury, no charge, no trial, no release date. Oldest people who were interned were in their 80s, and the youngest people who were interned were 15 years of age. This one here was a march of defiance 7 days after the killings. The wee boy here, see the wee boy here, shirt and tie on. That was the dress of the day. Very normal, right? This wee boy here, he's marching with his family. 4 years later, he's in prison. 5 years after that, he dies in prison on hunger strike. In 1981, 10 prisoners died on hunger strike. This wee boy is one of them. He became the third out of the 10 died. We're going to talk about the hunger strike and go along. Because hunger strikes don't just happen. You don't wake up being attacked. It wasn't being attacked just down at the flats. It's being attacked on the street along the way. So, if you look at this former primary school behind us here, and you look on the wall, you'll see bullet holes and strike marks, all dating from that period of 1969. So when this community was attacked, that's all the rifle shots of the attack on the community. This wall here, imagine in the early 70s, no one put in the media. The only way to express yourself was by daubing graffiti on the walls. Graffiti then developed into political murals. This wall, because they exist in all parts of the north of Ireland, this wall was slightly different because it became known as the international wall. So you would see murals on this wall in relation to Ireland, but also in relation to other struggles. So I'm going to pass this poster around. This poster will show you what this wall normally looks like, so I'll give it to you, okay? At the minute, what you're seeing on the wall are Palestinian murals, because a Palestinian artist had sent over her murals, and the artists here, they then painted her murals on the wall as a show of solidarity to what's happening at the present in Gaza. So this is the wall the way it looks normally. At present, it's there because of what's happening in the Middle East. Okay? Some murals are painted in wood and then put on the wall. Some are paint. So as we walked along the Falls Road and we seen the various walls and gates and fences, this is the structure here. You see it now up close and personal. And recently I described this as a wall for tourists. It didn't mean it was built for tourists. What I meant was, for example, my mother died 2 years ago. She was 90. She'd never seen this wall in her whole life, because where she lives in Belfast, she has her own wall. Because in Belfast, even today, there's 30 kilometres of wall. This is only one section, 3 kilometres long. So unless you lived here, unless you had friends here, you wouldn't be here unless you're a tourist, okay? So if you live in a different part of Belfast, you're going to have your own wall. So you don't want to see somebody else's wall, okay? We're going to walk on this street called Bombay Street. Last photograph, no shoes. This is a photograph of my head, okay? So that happened to me on the wall. That happened in 2002. So that happened 4 years after the peace process.
Stay cool with that.
Salam alaikum. See you, folks.
Thank you.
I look forward to it as well.
Thank you.
Oh, I see. Thank you so much. Oh, so fun. Come on. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, good. Oh, well. All nice and dry. Right. Well, guys, this is going to be the traffic here. And we'll get around the corner to the semicircle. So what we have, and that will allow you to get me to the second part. Okay? Please follow me. There we go. All together. Yeah. Well, guys, first, you're not recording, are you?
Hey, no?